In the memories of many, James Whitmore was a talented actor, a seasoned artist, but few know that he was also a veteran carrying the haunting echoes of war within him. Listen to the story of indelible pains and losses that followed him throughout his life, to feel the depth of tragedy hidden behind that strong facade. If you are ready for this journey, or simply admire this man, comment 1 below to let us know we're not alone. The eternal pain of the soldier. James Whitmore. To the public, that name will always be linked with diverse roles, from the benevolent prisoner in The Shawshank Redemption to the eccentric president in Give 'Em Hell, Harry. He was a talented artist, a symbol of resilience and dedication. Yet, hidden deep within his soul behind the spotlight and applause lay an abyss of pain. A harsh legacy from his years wearing the United States Marine Corps uniform in World War II. For Whitmore, the war was not merely a past chapter in his personal history. It was a lingering ghost, a wound that never healed, etched into every cell, every breath until his dying day. War for James Whitmore was not just fierce battles, arduous marches, or the booming sound of artillery. It was a symphony of destruction, a horrifying painting rendered in blood, tears, and death. Every scene, every chilling sound on the Pacific battlefield was permanently seared into his mind, becoming terrifying movie clips on an endless loop. Perhaps on silent nights when darkness fell and everything sank into stillness, Whitmore couldn't sleep peacefully. Instead, he might have been tormented by the heart-wrenching screams of fallen comrades, the whistling of bullets narrowly missing his ear, or the acrid smell of gunpowder and burning flesh, the scent of death that forever haunted his sense of smell. He witnessed sights no ordinary human should ever have to witness: the disintegration of human bodies under enemy fire, the fear-contorted faces of young soldiers, or the lifeless eyes of corpses scattered across the battlefield. Every time he closed his eyes, those gruesome images would reappear vividly, as if they had just happened yesterday. That wasn't memory in the conventional sense. It was a constant obsession, a smoldering inferno of hellfire within his chest, consuming peace and tranquility. No matter how much time passed, no matter how much success he achieved in his career, those images clung to him, becoming an inseparable part of who he was. In the military, camaraderie is not just simple friendship. It's a vital bond, an absolute trust in the person fighting beside you. For James Whitmore, his comrades weren't just soldiers. They were brothers, people who shared water and dry rations, facing death together every day. Therefore, their loss was a fatal blow, a dagger plunged through his heart. He didn't just hear about their deaths. He may have witnessed his close friends fall, heard their last groans, or even tried in vain to save a life slowly fading away. That pain wasn't just regret. It was the unending torment of the survivor. Why am I alive while they are not? Could I have done something else to save them? Thousands of unanswered questions incessantly swirled in his mind, creating a heavy sense of guilt. The feeling that he was the only one granted the chance to return, while his brothers remained forever in foreign lands, transformed into an unbearable psychological burden. Every time he achieved success in life, he might have remembered his lost friends and felt a strange pang of sorrow that he enjoyed things they never had the chance to experience. His smile might have hidden the sorrow of departed souls, and his eyes might have reflected the loneliness of those left behind. Invisible scars haunting James Whitmore. At the time James Whitmore participated in World War II, the concept of post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD) was not as well understood or widely recognized as it is today. However, even without a formal diagnosis, it's undeniable that he faced its typical symptoms. War doesn't just leave physical wounds, it carves deep mental scars, transforming brain structure and how a person perceives the world. James Whitmore might have experienced recurrent nightmares where he relived the most horrific moments on the battlefield. Unexpected sounds, a fleeting image, or even a familiar scent could trigger intense flashbacks, dragging him back to the reality of war, causing him to lose emotional control. Experience extreme anxiety or even panic. Persistent insomnia was likely a familiar companion, as his mind couldn't find peace to rest. By day, he might have appeared strong and professional, but by night, fear and obsession would surround him. He might have become hypervigilant, always on alert for danger, even when no real threat existed. Social withdrawal, feelings of isolation, difficulty connecting with others. Those who couldn't understand what he had been through were also an inevitable part of it. This pain didn't manifest outwardly in an obvious way. It was a silent battle waged within his soul, gradually eroding his peace and joy in life. His smiles on screen, his resounding successes might have been merely a perfect facade to hide his internal turmoil, a way for him to reassure himself and try to live a normal life after extraordinary and tragic experiences. The lingering effects of war became an inseparable part of James Whitmore's identity, shaping how he perceived the world and confronted life until his last breath. War for James Whitmore wasn't just fleeting moments of horror. It was a harsh catalyst that permanently altered his very being from within. When the guns fell silent and he returned from the battlefield, he was no longer the innocent, carefree young man who had first enlisted. Instead, he was a fractured version, a person laden with experiences that no one outside of those who had endured that hell could comprehend. War snatched away the innocence of youth, replacing it with calloused cynicism and a grim outlook on life. Like a shattered mirror, his soul could not fully heal. Smiles might still grace his lips, but they no longer carried the same carefree spirit as before. Instead, hidden deep within his eyes was an inherent sadness, a harsh understanding of the nature of life and death. He carried the burden of what he had witnessed, things he couldn't articulate, couldn't share with those who hadn't experienced them. The loneliness of a person bearing memories too overwhelming to bear transformed him into a separate entity, even when he stood among crowds. This change was also evident in his difficulty returning to civilian life. Post-war society might have offered an appearance of peace, but for a soldier who had just escaped the depths of hell, that peace felt alien and even terrifying. The laughter of crowds, the trivial worries of daily life, or simple joys seemed meaningless, out of place. His mind remained trapped on the battlefield where every moment was a struggle for survival. He might have felt lost in his own home in the embrace of his family because no one could truly understand what he had been through. People might ask, but no one could touch the deepest wound in his soul. The widening gap between his external world and his internal world created an invisible barrier, causing him to withdraw, concealing unspeakable pains. James Whitmore returned, but a part of his soul remained forever on the battlefield among his fallen comrades. Piling up personal pains, beyond the ceaseless haunting of the battlefield, James Whitmore's life was burdened by other personal hardships, pains that, though not marked by bombs or bullets, still deeply wounded his soul, making his life more complex and tragic. The pressure of being a public figure, coupled with private losses and the struggle with aging and illness, formed a melancholic symphony defining the profound depth of his character. When someone enters the entertainment world, they accept trading a part of their privacy for the spotlight. For James Whitmore, this meant he constantly had to perform not just on stage or screen, but also in his everyday life. He had to consistently maintain a certain public image, that of a talented actor, an exemplary veteran, a strong and steadfast man. This created immense pressure: how to hide his emotional wounds, his sleepless nights from war nightmares, or his personal sorrows when millions of eyes were fixed on him. The truth is, despite resounding success, the loneliness of someone who has to conceal true emotions becomes even deeper. He couldn't freely express his weaknesses, his inner turmoil, or his moments of despair. Every smile for the camera, Every friendly handshake at an event might have been an effort to maintain a perfect facade. The brighter the spotlight, the darker the shadow of self-concealment became. The life of a famous actor was sometimes not a joy, but a golden shackle binding him to the duty of always appearing fine, even when a storm raged within. Despite a brilliant acting career, James Whitmore's private life was not always smooth, especially in his marital relationships. He went through 3 marriages, and these breakdowns surely left deep scars in his heart. Each separation was not just the end of a relationship, but also the loss of a dream, a hope for complete family happiness. Broken marriages might have left him feeling like a failure, experiencing loneliness, even with loved ones nearby, and an indescribable sadness about the fleeting nature of human relationships. Furthermore, the psychological trauma from the war might have affected his ability to connect emotionally deeply with others. A soldier carrying too many wounds might find it difficult to open up completely, fearing hurt, or not wanting to burden others with his pain. This could lead to a vicious cycle of isolation, where he yearned for love and understanding, yet unconsciously pushed himself away due to past pains. Even with children, the emptiness in his heart likely remained an unhealed scar, reminding him of what was lost, of unfinished happiness. As age accumulated and his body no longer obeyed, James Whitmore had to face another battle, the battle against time and illness. The weakening of the body is an inevitable pain of old age. Age-related illnesses, the gradual loss of mobility or lucidity, are grim reminders of life's finitude. For a man who was once a warrior who bravely confronted death, witnessing his body slowly age and weaken could be a significant psychological challenge. Additionally, in his twilight years, as his contemporaries gradually passed away, he also had to face the fear of loneliness and death. The feeling of being the last one left, witnessing the world around him change, could bring an indescribable emptiness. Every death of a loved one, a colleague, was a reminder of his own mortality. Though he was a man who had experienced many ups and downs facing life and death, the fear of cessation, of the uncertainty of death, remained a primal instinct. It transformed his final years into another silent struggle, where he tried to find peace and accept his fate while still bearing the marks of a life full of tragedy and loss. James Whitmore's profound inner struggle. Amidst his accumulated pains, James Whitmore did not collapse. He found his own ways to cope, to survive, and even to shine. His life is a testament to an enduring inner struggle, where art became an escape, silence, a weapon, and a warrior's spirit helped him overcome personal tragedies. For James Whitmore, acting was not just a profession. It was a powerful spiritual outlet. When embodying a character, he could temporarily escape his own burdens, forgetting haunting memories and personal pains. The stage and screen became a safe space where he was allowed to be someone else, to experience emotions that weren't his own, and most importantly, to release the dramatic energy accumulated within. Every role, big or small, was an opportunity for him to unleash pent-up emotions. Sadness, anger, fear, or even profound loneliness, emotions he found difficult to express in everyday life, could be conveyed authentically and powerfully through the character's eyes and gestures. Audiences saw a talented actor, but they might not have realized that he was a man using art to heal his own emotional wounds. The moments of triumph on stage, when he was completely immersed in his character, were rare instances where he found peace, a brief liberation from the ghosts of the past. One of James Whitmore's most striking characteristics, like many other veterans, was his tragic silence regarding his deepest pains. He was not one to complain or seek pity. The emotional scars from the war, personal losses, or the pressures of public life, he bore all by himself. Perhaps for him, sharing those pains was an unnecessary burden on others, or simply he believed that no one could truly understand what he had been through. This resilience, bordering on stoicism, was the mark of a warrior. His military spirit, taught him to be strong to overcome hardships without complaint. He didn't allow himself to break down no matter how turbulent his inner world. This silence, while demonstrating extraordinary fortitude, also revealed a profound loneliness. He was alone in his battle with himself, with no one to unburden his soul to. This makes his story even more tragic. A hero silently bearing all his pain forever, keeping the secrets of his soul, leaving the outside world only an image of strength and steadfastness. Despite carrying indelible pains and scars, James Whitmore left a legacy not only of art, but also of resilience. He is a vivid testament to what a human being can endure, and how the steely spirit of a soldier can help them overcome extreme adversity. His unwavering dedication to his art, despite his internal conflicts, transformed him into a symbol of perseverance and passion. James Whitmore's story goes beyond his on-screen successes. It is a powerful reminder of the soldiers who sacrificed their youth, returning from the battlefield with invisible wounds. His pain is a shared voice for millions of other veterans who are silently battling PTSD, haunting memories and feelings of displacement in society. We admire him not only for his talent, but also for his courage in living a full life, even though that life was riddled with scars and tragedy. His legacy is not one of perfection, but a heartbreaking authenticity about a man who lived, fought, and endured it all. A testament from those who have endured. And so our journey delving into the hidden facets of James Whitmore's life, the soldier, the artist, the man marked by scars, comes to a close. He was not just a talented actor, a veteran who dedicated his youth to his country, but also a vivid testament to how resiliently humans confront wounds that never truly heal. We have together touched upon the haunting pains from the battlefield, the irreversible changes within his soul, and the personal burdens he silently carried. Through every role, every moment on screen, James Whitmore struggled, endured, and rose in his own way, leaving a legacy not only of art, but also of extraordinary resilience. The life of James Whitmore. A man who experienced the brutal years of World War II surely evoked many memories and emotions in the hearts of veterans like yourselves. The sound of gunfire, the loss of comrades, the haunting nightmares. These are not just Whitmore's story, but the shared sentiments of an entire generation that lived and fought. More than anyone, you understand the price paid for peace and the invisible wounds left by war. We believe that James Whitmore's story is not just for us to sympathize with, but to contemplate. For those of you who have experienced the fires of war, does this story resonate with anything in your own lives? Are there pains you have silently carried for years, much like James Whitmore? And how did you find the strength to overcome to live your lives fully after those losses and sacrifices? Please share your thoughts, your stories, whether in the comments below this video or on our YouTube channel. Our channel is always open to listening and connecting with heartfelt voices, especially from the heroes who have lived through such tragic chapters of history. Because every story, every shared pain is a candle lit helping future generations better understand the value of peace and your noble sacrifices.